If you are constantly arguing in your marriage, at each other's throats, struggling to communicate, there is one core principle you must know about, and most men get this completely wrong. This ancient principle has not only fixed my marriage and destroyed arguments, it's allowed me to make millions of dollars and become successful in my business. More importantly, a man that my wife, my daughter, my team actually respects. Now, before I share it with you, you need to know that this is shockingly simple. And you can start doing it today, but it's going to require one thing from you, a commitment to become a better man. To look in the mirror, take ownership and say it's time to shut up, time to step up, time to become a better father, a better husband, a better human being. So if you're ready to take your marriage, your business, and life to the next level, then in today's podcast episode, you're going to learn the one thing that destroyed arguments in my marriage that most men get completely wrong. If you get value from this video, please give it a thumbs up so we can help more men and keep more families together. So what is this one thing that destroys arguments that most men get wrong? Well, it is simply called a trigger. And in today's video or podcast, I'm going to break down the nasty framework, NASTY, for you to remember how to destroy triggers and therefore destroy arguments. With that being said, what is a trigger? Well, I guarantee you've experienced one or more of these in your life. You come home and the house is a mess. You get triggered. It puts you into a shitty state. You get angry, you get frustrated. There are dishes in the sink. That's a trigger. Your partner doesn't want to have sex with you. That's a trigger. She says she's tired, even though you've been working all day to provide and you're fucking exhausted. All you want is a little bit of loving, a little bit of sex. Or she says something rude, arrogant, the way she says it, what she says, you don't feel appreciated or loved. I guarantee in your relationships, there are things that piss you off. There are things that set you off, and that is called a trigger. It is the moment in time that something happens, something is said, something is done, something is seen that triggers within you a chain reaction of negative emotions. And typically these triggers lead to arguments. Your wife says something you don't like, you react, you start yelling, or you sweep it under the rug and bottle it up. You see something at home like dishes in the sink, you react, you get angry, you say something rude. These triggers typically happen without thinking. They cause negative emotion, negative experience in our body, and then we take it out on our loved ones. And it's not just in our marriages. As high performers, business owners, men who provide, there are triggers every fucking day. There's triggers from team members not doing their job, being pulled back into the weeds, children. The whole world is one big massive trigger, but this is the thing that we need to fix. And that's where the nasty framework comes in. We're gonna break down what each letter means and how you can implement it today to change this idea of a trigger. Bit of a backstory for me, I've coached over 1,000 men now on how to fix their marriage, reconnect with their children, find work-life balance. And this took my marriage from the brink of divorce to having a marriage full of love, intimacy, and connection. My wife respects me. She wants to have sex with me. We're connected and we have that spark we had at the beginning. You can have that too when you implement the nasty framework. So the first step to implement this framework is to remind yourself of these words: trigger, nasty, or if you're America, nasty. Trigger, nasty, trigger, nasty, trigger, nasty. Say it 3 or 4 more times. It's going to embed it into your psyche and help you work through it. Step 0 before the nasty is trigger. In life, we've got to identify what the triggers are in our relationships, because like a set of dominoes, if we can just take the first domino away, none of the other dominoes are going to fall. As soon as that first domino falls, it creates a chain reaction of problems in our life. So what I did in my relationship and what I've done for all of our clients is we identify the triggers that come up in our relationships. For me, it was dishes in the sink, the house being a mess, my wife being a victim or complaining, even though we have this amazing life that I'm working so hard for, her getting angry at my daughter or yelling at her when I'm working and trying to slave away to provide for the family. These are all things that would trigger me in my relationship, but it also went both ways. My wife would get triggered when I came home late after a long workday. She'd get triggered if I didn't communicate with her. She'd get triggered if I looked in the direction of another woman due to her fears and insecurities. So we both had triggers in our relationship. And the first step to implementing the nasty framework was identifying what those triggers are. In your life, you've got things that piss you off, that trigger you. What are they? Write down your triggers in regards to your partner and try and figure out what her triggers are in regards to you. You can also bring her into this conversation and just ask her, what are the things I do that piss you off? What are the things I do that trigger you? If you're like most guys though, you probably already know because most women will fucking tell you when they're triggered, when they're upset. And this is where the first step of the nasty framework comes in. It's called non-verbal cues. When we're pissed off at someone, we don't always get into an argument right away. We try and get them to realize we're angry, and we do that through non-verbal cues. This is our body language, it's our facial expressions. We expect them to see us and then to be able to read our mind about how we're feeling. Let me give you an example. If you've ever done something or said something to piss off your partner and you can tell they're angry, they're not communicating with you properly, there's something going on, so you ask them, are you okay? They respond with, I'm fine. I think the acronym for that is freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Fine is a fucking terrible word. But their arms will be folded, they'll be pissed off on their face. These non-verbal cues are typically the precursor to an argument. And a lot of the time we think that we have good body language, we really don't. I know for me, if I'm triggered at my wife, I'll give her a very judgmental look. It'll be like this. Like, this is the look. If you're listening to me, you won't see it. But so I'm like, are you fucking serious? I don't have to say any words for that look to come out. Now, if I'm triggered at my wife and I give her a non-verbal cue, my body language is aggressive, it's judgmental, it's frustrated, it's angry, my facial expressions show how I'm feeling on my face, then what's funny is I'm triggered by her, I give her a non-verbal cue, she's now gonna be triggered by that non-verbal cue, which is gonna lead us to the next part of the nasty framework. So the question you gotta ask yourself here is, if you're getting into arguments, you're disconnected from your partner, what are your non-verbal cues? Like, what do you look like? What do you feel like? And you can notice this in your partner as well. You can see their body language change when they're pissed off and angry. When they're triggered by something, they look different, they feel different. A really good solution here is to avoid negative nonverbal cues. Go to triggers nasty, remind yourself of that. And the next time you're pissed off by someone or something, ask yourself, well, what's my body language like? What look do I have on my face? A really simple solution to instantly break one of those dominoes and destroy arguments is to soften your features. Like, imagine you just like relaxing, shoulders back and down, take a big sigh, big deep breath, and then try and paste a smile on your face. You can do this in mid-argument when you notice that you're triggered and your nonverbal cues, your body language is saying something without any words. So that's the first step, which leads us to the next part of the nasty framework. And that next part is called attack versus defense. Embed this in your psyche if you want to become a master communicator. I'm talking like be able to communicate with someone where they give you everything you want and desire, not as a manipulator because they want to. When people feel attacked, they defend. You cannot deny this fact. You can tell someone exactly what they're doing wrong. They can know they're doing it wrong. They can believe it, but even though they know you're right, because a lot of the time in arguments and disagreements, we know the other person's right and that we're wrong. But because we feel attacked, our ego gets in the way and we defend. This happens frequently in my relationship with my wife. It's not intentional. My nonverbal cues, when she does something I don't like, I get triggered, I don't realize it's happening, and I will give her a nasty look. I'll give her a look of judgment. Now she will feel attacked by that look, and then she'll defend because she's now triggered by that attack. She'll put up a shield, and it's in the form of, why are you looking at me like that? So now she gets angry and she gets triggered, and we'll break down what each of these things are in a second, all because she feels attacked. Now, typically my response when this happens is, what look? I didn't give you a look. Or I'll raise my voice and my tonality will change. What are you talking about? So now I feel attacked and I start to defend. And you'll notice this in every single argument and disagreement. When you feel attacked, you will defend. That's your ego putting up protection and walls to keep you safe. Men are fucking terrible at addressing this. Women are more in tune with it, but they can be terrible as well, let's be honest. So when you feel attacked, you defend. The question to ask yourself in an argument or when you're triggered at your partner is, am I potentially causing this reaction? I can't control my wife's reaction. If she's upset because of the way I looked at her or what I said or how I said it, if she's upset at me coming home late, I will want to defend because I'm like, why are you upset at me? I'm working hard. I'm busting my balls here. But the question I've got to ask myself in the moment is, I can't control my wife. I can't control her thoughts, her emotions, her reactions. But how have I contributed to this? Have I potentially, even though I didn't intend to, even though I didn't want to, have I potentially attacked her in some way, shape, or form to cause her to defend this way? Now, sometimes you've literally done nothing wrong. Sometimes you genuinely have done nothing wrong. And this is where the next part of the nasty framework comes in. Before we get to it, most of the time though, you have done something. And it's very hard to admit that because it requires ownership to go, you know what? I've attacked this person, that's why they're defending. An argument cannot exist if neither of you feel attacked. If both of you feel heard and understood, an argument doesn't exist. And this is literally what's happened in my relationship, by the way. Rosie and I still have disagreements. My wife and I still have moments where we don't see eye to eye, but we're not angry, we're not frustrated, we communicate effectively and we grow through it instead of growing apart. You'll know as well as I do that if you're constantly arguing with your partner, you start to resent, you start to feel like doubt in that relationship. That's because you're growing apart. So we have the nasty framework, trigger. What the fuck am I triggered about? Non-verbal cues. What's my body language like right now? What's my facial expression? Am I attacking this person? Could that be why they're defending? And vice versa. Now, the third part of the nasty framework is called state. What state are you in when you get into an argument? What state are you in when you feel attacked? And then you, by definition, defend. Your state is how you feel and think in any single moment. So it's what are you thinking about? How are you feeling? Let me give you a few examples. Let's say you've had a very, very stressful day. You wake up running late for work. You've got a million things on your mind. You can't switch off from all the pressure. You wake up running late, slip through your alarm. You stub your toe on the way out of your room. You and your wife haven't had sex for weeks. You go to work, you're dealing with pressure and stress every single day. You're putting out fires. You just can't fucking handle it. You can't switch off. You come home, you're stuck in traffic. That traffic is going to trigger the shit out of you because you're in a shitty state. You're stressed, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're tired, you don't feel loved, you don't feel appreciated, you don't feel desired. All these things are piling up and putting you into a shitty state of being. Now let's flip the script for a second and we'll bring back to how this affects your marriage and your team and business and all that. Let's say you and your wife, you're having lots of sex and you feel wanted and desired. You have an amazing night's sleep. You wake up feeling fresh. You feel like you've well rested. You get up, your wife's made you breakfast in bed, your favorite food. You walk out the door, you got plenty of time. Everything's dealt with in your business. You get in the car, you go to work, you love what you do. You're having fun, you're smiling all day. You're able to switch off and be present. You get stuck in traffic on the way home. You're much less likely to get triggered by that traffic. Well, it's the exact same in our relationships. There are things that trigger us sometimes, and other times they don't. I know for me, sometimes I'm really pissed off because of something Rosie's done, and other times I really don't give a fuck. And that comes down to the state that I am in any one time. How are you feeling physically and mentally when you get into these arguments? These arguments are a symptom of deeper rooted issues. The fact that you haven't been making love, the fact that you've forgotten how to communicate, the fact that you don't go on date nights anymore, the fact that you feel like all you do is work and you've got no appreciation at home. She feels like she's got no identity once you have kids. You feel like you don't actually have anything to connect on. You're sitting on opposite ends of the couch. All of these things affect your state. There's what's happening inside of your relationship. There's what's happening in your business and day-to-day life. How you sleep affects your state. What you eat, your gut health, has a massive effect on how you feel physically and mentally. How much water you drink has a massive effect on your state. So we have shitty states, and then we have limitless states. A limitless state is where you feel happy, you're positive, you're empowered, you're winning at life, you're focusing on what you want, you're communicating well, you're not reacting to things, you're responding to things. We want to take you from a reactive state to a responsive state. I talked about this in the previous podcast episodes, but I'll touch on it again. In life, you can be a thermostat or you can be a thermometer. A thermometer goes up your ass, then under your armpit, then in your mouth. Hopefully not in that order. Obviously disgusting, but a thermometer can only be influenced by the environment. It reacts. If it's hot, it reacts. If it's cold, it reacts. It moves based on the temperature. A thermostat goes on your wall, not up your ass, hopefully. And when it's on that wall, it can change the temperature. It can respond. When it's too hot, it responds, it brings the temperature down. It's too cold, it responds, it brings the temperature up. You want to get into responsive states. And the way you do this, it literally destroys arguments, is you start becoming a fucking happy, healthy man. Most men who are arguing all the time, it's because they're not getting what they want in their relationship. But why do we not get what we want in our relationships? Because we're unhappy, we're unhealthy, we're fat, we're tired, we're stressed. And then we expect our wife to fuck us and give us what we want. We expect her to keep the house clean, look after the kids, but we're not fucking great men. We make money, but our health is falling apart. We don't know how to communicate. So it begins here. If you want to eliminate arguments, yes, there's triggers, but you won't get triggered if you're on fucking fire. We call it feeling right on fucking fire here at The Empowered Man. Frothing. You want to be frothing. You want to be unfuckwithable in business. Teflon. Stress slides off of you. You're able to handle anything. You're able to make lots of money and be successful in business while also having time to look after yourself and be present with your family. When you are achieving all those things, you're in a powerful state, you're less reactive, and then when your partner does trigger you, or when she gets triggered, you don't defend, you don't feel attacked because you feel in control. Cool, calm, and collected, powerful, in control. And that's where state comes in. What state of being are you in? Are you in a shitty state or a limitless state when you get into these arguments and when you communicate with your partner, but also other people in your life? Quick side note, if you'd like to become limitless, not just destroy arguments, but become unfuckwithable as a man, meaning you have a great marriage full of intimacy, love, and connection, you're successful in business and making money while also having time freedom, mental freedom, financial freedom. If you want to have a healthy body and mind, basically be a man who has it all, a fucking winner, a king, a leader, then a lot of guys struggle with that for one reason. They don't have a plan. So if you go down below to the first link, there'll be a button you can click or a link that will take you to a form or a documentary, and you'll be able to book a coaching session with our team. And on that session, we will literally build out your custom Empowered Man roadmap to become a successful man in every area of your life. So if you want to fix your marriage, reconnect with your children, find work-life balance, and become unfuckwithable, go down below, book a coaching session with our team, and we'll create a custom roadmap for you. The next part of the nasty framework is tonality. Tonality is how you say something, not just what you say. I can say, babe, it's all good, or babe, it's all good. The exact same words came out of my mouth, but the way that I said them sounded completely different. I've talked to my wife before, and I'll say something and she'll say, why are you telling me like that? Like, don't talk to me like that. Now, I feel triggered, I feel attacked, I defend, my body language is angry, all the stuff I'm teaching you, I react, my state is shitty, all the stuff we just taught, and then my response is, what are you talking about? I didn't talk to you like that at all. And my tonality changes. The crazy thing about how we communicate is we don't have a replay button. We don't know how we're saying things. And if somebody reacts to what we say or how we say it, you can be damn sure there was an element of you that attacked them. Your tonality is the way that you say things. And there are many different types of tonality that cause a bunch of arguments. Angry and frustrated tonality. What are you doing that for? Judgmental tonality. What are you doing that for? But you can also have on the other side, calm and patient tonality. Why are we arguing? You want to have a tonality in arguments or in life of curiosity and empathy, right? So let's say my wife and I get triggered. We're in a shitty state. We're both reactive. We both feel attacked. We realize we're in the middle of an argument, because you will get into arguments when you first start implementing this. I realize, fuck, we're in this argument again. I'm triggered. All the shit Toni talked about is happening. I'll remind myself that if I want to bring this argument down, I've got to bring a tonality of curiosity and empathy. I know you're pissed off. Is it possible we just park this right now? Curiosity. Is it possible? Do you mind if? Do you think if? We use framing and language that allows us to bring it back to calm, responsive, not reactive. Curious empathy is like, look, obviously I've pissed you off. Can we just talk about this calmly? Instead of calm down. Same, similar language, different words. The question I had to ask myself in my relationship, I mean, you can hear how I'm speaking on this fucking video or podcast you're listening to. I'm animated, I'm excited. This is how I coach my clients. This is how I change lives and work with successful, high-performance men. But if I bring this tonality back down to my wife, if I speak to her the same way I speak to my clients or my team members, we gonna have a problem. So whenever Rosie and I get into a disagreement or in the past got into arguments, I just ask myself, well, how am I saying the things I'm saying. Because if I was really saying them from a frame of curious empathy, I was curious and empathetic, my wife wouldn't be fucking triggered. When I go downstairs and I'm like, babe, do you need help with the dishes? Instead of, babe, why are the dishes not done? The tonality, how I say it and what I say it is completely different. So asking yourself here, cool, what are my non-verbal cues? What's my body language like? Then we go into the A, am I attacking right now? Am I attacking? Is that why they're defending? What state am I in right now? And what tonality am I using towards my partner? If you can just remind yourself of the NAST minus the why, you're going to be able to kill that argument much faster and avoid them altogether. And that leads us to the final part of the nasty framework, and that's why. Why? Yes, why? Why the fuck do we do this? Yelling. I'm going to leave this one nice and short. As soon as you start yelling at your wife, at your kids, at your team members, you have lost. Now, I know it's hard for a lot of guys. I grew up around yelling. I was terrified of my father as a child because he had such a loud, booming voice. And when he was angry or pissed off, you knew about it. From all of these sections, nasty, but especially the why, he would yell. And what I've realized as I grow older and I run a team of now 12 and then 18 in the next few months as we grow the empowered man, I'm leading my team. I've got a daughter that I'm leading my wife. If I need to rely on raising my voice to get the point across, it simply means that I do not have a level of respect from those people. If I need to raise my voice and yell to prove a point or to feel heard or to get my point across or to defend or attack or whatever the fuck it is, that means as a man, I'm not leading to my full potential. So if you yell in your life at anyone, especially your partner, one of the fastest ways to eliminate arguments is to just stop doing it. I know it sounds so simple and it might be difficult for you, but every time you notice your level of noise getting too high, just bring it back down, bring that tonality down. Imagine you're on a volume dial in your car or on your phone, on the side of the phone, you're just turning that volume down. And this alone can completely destroy arguments. Because when you yell and you get really loud, it brings your level up here. Now, if you have two people up here, it's gonna collide and crash. If you bring it down while somebody else is yelling at you, because we can't control them, it's typically gonna calm them down. But if you try and meet them at that level, it's gonna escalate the situation and get worse, worse, and worse. When you're in the middle of an argument and that person's upset, they don't feel heard, they feel attacked, they're defending, their body language, their tonality, their state is shitty, they're pissed off, they're angry, the most effective thing you can do is become unfuckwithable, stop yelling, use a calm, patient tonality, curious empathy, take a deep breath, realize that you're in a pretty shitty state, you had a stressful day, it's not you it's talking, it's the stressful day you had. You have the awareness that you're attacking. All right, I'm gonna stop attacking. I'm gonna calm my body down, smile and be like, fuck, we're in the middle of an argument again. And it's really that simple. It's implementing all these 5 tools in the moment of an argument. But taking it a step further, you can fix these things before an argument. You can come home through the door and go, cool, what's my body language like? Cool, how can I communicate with my partner before I say any words where I ensure that my intention is not to attack, just to be curious and empathetic? How can I get into a good state here? How can I keep myself healthy and happy so I'm not reactive? How can I bring my tonality down, stop yelling? And the final here that I'll add for you is arguments only happen because you're both trying to be right. You both have different opinions, different worldviews, different ways of seeing the world, different stuff happened that day, and you both just don't feel understood. You both don't feel heard. Both don't feel like the other person cares or wants to hear your point of view. So if you're getting into arguments all the time, it simply means that you and your partner need to be fucking right. Stop trying to be right. As soon as I stop trying to be, and this is hard for me because I think I know everything and I think I'm way more superior than everyone else. It's an ego thing because I've proven to myself that I'm the fucking man. I work hard. I have an amazing business. I make great money. I help a lot of people. I have great sex. I have a great partner. I have a healthy body. I've got a 6-pack. I got a great life. I've proven to myself I'm the man. I have to put that aside and go, you know what? I'm not always right. And even though I might be right for me, maybe I'm not right for my wife, meaning I'm not right for her. Meaning, in her worldview, she's right. And I can't change that even though I know she's wrong. I can't make her wrong. Stop trying to be right. Stop trying to prove your point and actually listen and hear that other person. And the more you do this, the more you realize that most arguments and disagreements are just symptoms of a much deeper issue. And that's a disconnection in your relationships. A disconnection where you don't communicate, you don't share your feelings and emotions, you don't talk about what you're thinking about, you don't have that spark that you used to, you don't go on dates anymore, you don't really put any effort into it. That's what, arguments happen. And the beautiful thing is, this will change your life. Rosie and I used to argue a lot, a lot. You will get to a point where you communicate and you work through these things and you just stop having arguments. Because the final thing I'll leave you with is this. You should not be arguing about the same shit over and over again. Arguments are healthy. Collision creates connection. But when you get into an argument about something, you apply the nasty framework. You ask yourself, what are my nonverbal cues? What's my body language? Am I attacking? What's my state? What's my tonality? Am I yelling? You fix those things. Then you work through the argument. You work through what you both think, what you feel. You come to an understanding. You don't have to agree. You don't have to be right or wrong. And you learn from that moment so you don't have the same argument. And then it becomes a blessing, which allows you to grow together and actually become better humans together. So I hope this added some degree of value to you in your life. It really is a powerful principle, and you can completely destroy arguments by destroying triggers. Now, triggers are going to happen, and when they do, we apply this nasty framework to break through them fast. If you did get value from this video, just give it a thumbs up on YouTube or on Spotify, wherever you're listening. Give it 5 stars so we can help more men. And if you do want more coaching and a roadmap on how to fix your marriage and work through these issues and become a better man, then go down below to the first link and book a coaching session with our team, where we'll build a custom roadmap. Hope you got value. I'll see you for the next episode of the Empowered Man Podcast.